Okay, well, with that, I think I'll get started. Welcome, everyone, to SOAR 2122. Welcome to the class of 2025 or 2026. Some of you may take an additional year to do an internship. My name is Jill Atkinson, and I'm the Associate Dean Academic in the Faculty of Arts and Science. And I'm here today with Haley Everson, who's our Associate Director in charge of Academic Advising. And there's a few people behind the scenes. And together we're going to provide you with some information. And we also have a team available here to answer questions in the chat. So if, as I'm speaking, you have questions that come to mind that you want to ask right away, please feel free to type them in the chat. I believe we'll have time at the end, probably around 15 minutes, to answer questions live as well. So again, welcome. And I think we'll get started today telling you everything you need to know to get ready for first year. Okay, so the first thing I think a lot of you are probably wondering is what to expect in September. So in September, we are fully open for classes on campus. We are hoping that everybody will be back in person if they can. The plan from public health is that there's no need for social distancing. This is because our vaccination rollout is going very well, as you probably know, in Ontario. And the case counts, especially in Kingston, are low. And so we've been advised by public health that it will be safe to be back on campus in person with no social distancing. We're still waiting to hear the final answer about mask wearing, and we'll let you know before you arrive on campus in September whether masks will be required or not. I've also been asked, what if there's a positive COVID case? I see on the slide we have the word outbreak, but we are not anticipating an outbreak. It's always possible, but it's pretty unlikely. One thing you should know is that Kingston is a very low density town, and we have been able to manage COVID quite well. So when there has been a case, there's been immediate contact tracing. People who are contacted are asked to self-isolate and to go get tested. And until the test result is back, they stay at home. And then once they're test negative or they've waited 14 days, they're able to circulate again. And so these basic public health principles have really resulted in us keeping our case counts low. So what's going to happen this year is that, we do know that because of the flu and colds and fall seasonal allergies, there are likely to going to be several of us who get a cold, who get a sore throat, who get sick. It is most likely not going to be COVID, but you will be asked if you are ill for any reason to please stay home, right? It's always a good idea to stay home, not to spread germs. And then if it's suspected because you're not vaccinated that it could be COVID, you may be asked by public health to go get tested. If you're asked by public health, they will guide you on how to proceed. They will decide if contact tracing is necessary and whether or not they need to inform other people with whom you've been in contact. So public health has a very good plan for Queens, and you will be sort of notified of that plan as you get closer to campus. Now, I see that Haley has put a link in the chat, and I would highly recommend any of you, your families who are concerned about our plans for this fall, I'd recommend that you watch the video. If you go to that link, there's like a web page about return to campus, and there's a video embedded. And in that video, our local public health officer, Kieran Moore, who's now, by the way, the public health officer for all of Ontario, he discusses the situation this fall. And I think you'll find that it offers some reassurance about why we're going forward with a full return to campus. Okay, so I think the point I want to drive home is that we are working closely with public health. We have a doctor on campus who is a public health expert. He worked through the SARS crisis. He works very closely with the local public health, and they guide our decisions daily. And so we're very good at being agile and responding to problems. We're very good at being able to isolate students. We have places reserved for that specifically. The thing I think it's important for students to know is if you are ill and are staying home to self-isolate, or if you've been told by public health that you should because you've been in contact with someone, you can contact the academic consideration portal. So we will direct you to a place that you will contact, and we'll notify all your professors for you, okay? We'll notify all 4 or 5 professors. We'll tell them that you're unavailable to come to class for a few days, and then you don't have to worry about your academics, okay? You work on what you can work on at home, but if you can't get to class, that's fine. We'll make sure that once you're better, you'll talk to your instructor and figure out how to proceed about the missed work. Okay, so not to worry if you did happen to have to self-isolate, we can handle that. And again, Haley's put in the chat the academic consideration portal. But we'll be talking about that when we get closer to term. Okay, so let's proceed. The next thing I think that students have to think about at this point is what a university timetable looks like, how much time courses take. So at university, you might be in a class 3 hours a week or maybe 4 hours a week if you've got a tutorial. But we suggest to students that each course should take 8 to 10 hours a week. That's total, okay? That's going to class, going to your lab, working on your homework assignments, working on your essay that's due at the end of term. So if you think about a full load, a typical full load of 5 courses, and you think that you're doing 8 to 10 hours a week, that's 40 to 50 hours a week of school. That's a full-time job, basically. But unlike a lot of full-time jobs, you're self-employed. So you're in charge of yourself, or in a sense, you have 5 bosses. You have 5 different courses that you've got to manage the assignments for, right? And so it's really important that you think about time management. I'm guessing that some of you have pretty good time management skills from high school, right? You may be very busy, you may be juggling, sports and clubs and other things. Others may have survived despite bad habits, which a lot of us do as well. But I would strongly recommend that you think about some of the good time management habits and practice them. And I'm going to tell you later about a group that can help you with that. But first, I want to give you a tip, and there may be a test afterwards. The tip is that it's always good to chunk your activities and to mix them up. And what I mean by that is, rather than decide that, okay, on Saturday I'm going to study from 8 to 4, I'm going to the library and I'm going to do all my work. Probably you won't be very effective if that's your plan. It's better to do small chunks of studying. So maybe you're going to decide, okay, I'll do 2 hours, and then you're going to do, go for a coffee with a friend, then you're going to do an hour, then you're going to go for a run, then you're going to do 2 hours, and then you're going to go, do something else for fun. So it's better to chunk, work, recreation, physical activity is really important for sleep as well, right? Take time to actually sit down and eat. Don't always eat in front of the computer. And if you chunk things that way, you're actually more productive at the time. The second thing I talked about was mixing. And what that means is, let's say you do plan a 2-hour chunk in the morning to study, or a 3-hour chunk, and then you want to do another 2-hour chunk in the afternoon. Rather than doing all your sociology in the morning, you've got a big paper due in a week, so you want to do all sociology that day. It's actually better to do an hour of sociology, an hour of your biology, maybe an hour of psychology, and then in the afternoon, go back to sociology. And it's interesting because in some ways that's perceived as more difficult because you've got to change gears from sociology to biology to psychology. But it turns out having to do that, having to change gears and then go back again, means that you're going to remember it longer. Okay, so this is just some tips from the research on teaching and learning, that when you want to be really effective when you're managing 5 courses, don't just always chunk them all. Mix them up, and really mix them up with time for leisure, time for physical activity, take time to relax, okay? Now, I just want to talk about, in the next slide, some of the sort of language that we use in university and in arts and science in particular. So you're going to find that you're in a degree program, that you're going to be in a degree plan, and that you're going to be in a concentration or concentrations. And what a degree program is what your bachelor is. So you might be in a Bachelor of Fine Arts, Bachelor of Arts Honors, Bachelor of Music, Bachelor of Science and Kinesiology. That's your degree program, the bachelor level. Next is going to be a plan, which most of you will choose next year. And so a degree plan could be a major, could be a medial, could be a specialization. You'll decide after you do your degree program what plan you're in. And then finally, you're going to be in a concentration or concentrations. And those are, I think, let's just go back, to another slide. The concentration is the subject you're studying. So it might be philosophy or chemistry or drama, okay? So you're going to be in let's say a Bachelor of Arts Honors is your degree program. You might be doing a major minor. So maybe your concentration is a major in drama and a minor in film, for example. The other thing I want to tell you about are what a course unit is. So our courses have weights. I'm just going to ask you to go back another slide or so. That's great. So each course has a weight, and 3 unit courses are 1 semester, But if you take a course over 2 semesters, it's 6 units typically. So typically our courses are 3 or 6 units. I'd say most of them are 3 units, but we do have a number that are full year that are 6 units. And for most of our honors degrees, most of them are 120 units. So what that means is you will take, let's say you take 5 courses a year, and that's 30 units, right? You're taking 5 full year courses, so 5 6-unit courses, 30 units, 4 years, you've got 120 units, perfect. But I just want you to know that you can also be a little flexible. There's no hard and fast rule. If you want to take 4 courses in the first year and take 1 course, 1 6-unit or 2 3-unit courses in the summer, that's fine, right? You can take 24 units in first year, 6 units in the summer, or 24 units in first year. Maybe you take a 3-unit course in the summer, and then next summer you take another 3-unit course. You can also spread a 4-year degree out over 5 years if you want, okay? The important thing is you have to get 120 units for most degrees. We'll talk about education. There's a few degrees that require more, but for the most part, it's 120. Now, again, before we go any further, you need to know, well, where am I going to find out all this information? Because you're going to hear a lot of detailed information from me today. And there's going to be 2 places I think you need to go. One is something that you'll refer to for your whole time at Queen's is our academic calendar. And this is not like a monthly calendar. An academic calendar is going to tell you about all the different degree programs we have, all the plans we have, all the courses that make up the plans with a description of each course, like a little paragraph. And it's also going to tell you what types of courses you need to take to do each of your plans. So the calendar is a place you're always going to go back and refer to figure out what degree plan you want to take, what courses do you need, read a little bit about the courses so that you can choose the ones that fit with your interests. The other thing in the calendar, by the way, are all our regulations. So all the rules, all the policies. If you're not sure what to do if you have to drop a course, or you're not sure what to do if you got a really low mark because something terrible happened that year and you couldn't study, all the regulations are also in the calendar. And we have people to help you with all that. So I just want to focus on the slide that we're looking at now. What this shows you is 120 units, which we said was what most of our degree programs require. But a degree program, depending on the plan, can look a little bit different. So the first one that you see is the major. And the major is about half your units are in your concentration. So let's say geography, right? You'll take 60 units of geography and then 60 units of electives. And electives are courses, any course at all in the Faculty of Arts and Science for which you have the prerequisites, right? You can't jump into 3rd year physics or 3rd year drama. You might need a 1st or 2nd year course. So electives are like the courses you get to take just for fun to broaden your horizons, or because you want to learn a little bit of another discipline to see if you're interested, maybe in a minor. Then you'll see the major minor, which is a really common combination in arts and science, where students do that major. They take half their units in their concentration, but they add another concentration that's just half the size, so 30 units. So again, you might do that drama major and that film minor, and that still leaves you 30 units of electives where you can take courses in any department. The specialization, these are often interdisciplinary plans like environmental studies, biopsych. These are programs where you see that there are more courses that are prescribed, right? You have a bigger list of courses that you have to take for your degree plan, and that's kind of like a major minor, and it leaves you only about 30 units of electives. And then finally, we have something that's called a medial. That's kind of like a joint honors or a double major. So the medial is nice because you get to take 2 different concentrations of equal weight. So again, you might take drama and film, but you'll take 42 units of each, and that'll leave you 36 units of electives. So that sort of gives you a sense that you'll be choosing a concentration, 1 or 2 concentrations, but you'll always have room for some elective courses to explore. Okay, let's go on to the next. I'm just going to check that so types of courses. Now, when you look at a degree plan in the calendar, I mentioned the academic calendar, you're going to see that they talk about different types of courses that you have to take. The first 3 types of courses are specified by your degree, right? So if you're in psychology, you're going to have some core courses, and those are courses that everyone must take. So for example, you have to take statistics and design. You have to take intro psych. If you're in politics, you have to take 2nd year political theory. That's an absolute core foundation, course that everyone needs. Then you're going to have courses called options. And you still have to fulfill your options, but you're going to have choices. So they might say, take one course from Canadian history, one course from European history, one course from African history, right? And so within that, the Canadian history, you might have a choice of 4 courses. So you still have to complete that requirement. It'll be written like 6 units from Canadian history, and there'll be a list of courses. 6 units from European history, and there'll be a list. So you have to fulfill that option. It's required, but you have some choices, you have some options. And then the last group that you can be required to take according to your plan are supporting courses. These are courses that are typically outside your concentration, but they provide you with a foundation for understanding your discipline. So in economics, you may have to take a math course as a supporting course, right? In psychology, if you're doing our science degree, because we have an arts and a science, in the science, you have to take 2 other science courses, and we give you a list. So these are non-concentration courses. They're in a different concentration, a different discipline, but they're there to make sure that you are you have the foundation you need for your own discipline. And then finally, we have electives. So electives are not determined by your plan. You can take whatever courses that you're eligible to get into. So you want to take a drama course for fun, you want to take Japanese for fun, whatever that is, you are welcome to do it as long as you've got the prerequisites and there's space in the course. Okay, moving onwards. How to choose your courses. So this is the fun part. So in first year, a typical full load is 5. There's nothing wrong with taking 4 or 4.5, doesn't matter, 4 one term, 5 the other. But the most important thing is you're going to take 5 courses, or up to 5 courses, and you're going to be thinking about, okay, what courses will lead to a degree plan that I'm interested in? And you know what? You may be a student who knows exactly what you want to do right now, right? You may be, you know, thinking, I want to do chemistry, I'm taking chemistry, so I know exactly what I need to do in first year. Great. You may be a student who's not sure what you want to do yet. Maybe politics, maybe development studies, maybe history. I'm interested in all these things. Great. Take one of each. The important thing is choose the courses that you think you might want to pursue a degree plan in, because these first year courses are the gateway to degree plans. And you'll notice that if you want to go into history, you need to take a certain, well, one of a few first year history courses. If you want to go into sociology, you need to take a first year social course, right? Sociology course. So start thinking about what are the plans that look interesting to me, and choose those courses. You could also take a course that you have no intention of doing a whole degree in. Like I mentioned Japanese before, maybe you don't have a plan to do a degree in Japanese, but you want to take it for fun, or you want to take a biology course, but you're not really planning to do biology. So you might want to take one of our biology, courses for fun in first year. That's okay. Okay. You're going to see a lot of courses in the calendar that interest you, but it's really important to focus in first year on the ones that you think could lead to a degree plan. You will have the opportunity to take first year courses again next year as electives, or the year after that. So one thing I want to caution you about, you will see, by the way, we're going to talk about a handbook, a very handy dandy Arts and Science 101 handbook, which you're going to see a picture of later, and I'll show you how to access it. And in the Arts and Science 101 handbook, you're going to get a whole list of the courses available to you. It's like 2 pages of courses. And at the end, you're going to see a list of courses that are for elective purposes. And the reason that those courses are electives is they don't lead to a degree plan. So I just mentioned biology. If you're a student going into biology or going into chemistry, you're probably going to want to take Bio 101 and 102. No, 102, 103. I'm trying to make sure I get the numbers right. You're going to take intro biology. But we have another first year biology course, Biology 111, that's for interest or for an elective only. So you can take that if you're absolutely sure you don't want to go into bio and you're really interested in biology and the environment. That's great. Take Bio 111. But if you want to go into biology or chemistry, then you need to take Bio 102, 103. So make sure when you look at that list of elective or terminal courses that you are not taking more than 1 or 2 of those at the most. Okay, 6 units at the most, because they don't lead to degree plans. They're for interest, they're great, and you can take them out for years. But if you take too many of those, you're going to limit your choices, and that's not a good thing. You want to take a variety of courses that could plausibly lead to a degree plan, so you have lots of choices at the end of first year. And this is the other thing you need to know. You're not going to make a decision now. For those of you who didn't come into a direct entry program like kinesiology or fine arts or music, for those of you who are in BAH or BSCH first year, you're not going to make this choice about a degree plan until the end of first year, right? Once you've had a chance to complete all your courses, see how you do in them, see whether you like them or not, whether you're interested in that topic at the university level, that's when we're going to ask you to declare a degree plan and your concentrations, right? So the more choices you have, the better. Okay, so on to the next slide. Oh, just a brief mention about those of you who are taking a Faculty of Arts and Science honors degree at the same time as you're doing an education degree. Good for you, that's great. Note that you have to take some extra courses beyond the arts and science courses for education, the professional and practicum courses, prof and prac, and you're going to see those put into your timetable for you, okay? So you don't need to worry about registering for those. When we talk about registering in August, they will do that for you. Okay, on to the next. Again, choosing your courses. So let's imagine that you've done what I said, you've thought about all, you've looked at the calendar, you've looked at all the interesting courses, you've looked at the list in the Art Sci 101 handbook, you've chosen 5 courses that could lead to some degree plans. That's great. And so you're at the point now, it's going to come up in August where you're going to actually enroll in your courses. Now, you have in the first 2 weeks of term, as you can see, there's a timeline on the bottom of the screen, right? Week 0 to week 12. Between week 0 and week 2, we have an add swap period. As much as we want you to prepare ahead of time, think carefully, do your research, choose your courses, there are sometimes situations that require you to drop a course or to swap a course, okay? So you do have 2 weeks into term during which you can do this. One thing I would say is it might be a good idea in first year, if you're thinking about it, to talk to an advisor in our faculty office, and we can talk about that later if you're not sure about dropping a course or not. But you can go into Solace and simply drop a course. It will disappear from your transcript. You will get your tuition refunded. It's as though it was never there. Remember this, because if you're a student who's in psychology, for example, and you're in a psychology lecture you like, but you don't like your lab time, and you think, okay, I'm going to drop that and I'm going to choose a better psychology lab time. So you're going to drop psychology. It's going to be gone from your transcript. Then you're going to try to add it again because you want a better lab time. And you know what? It might be full. Health 101 might be full. If you drop a course to change a lab time or a lecture time, you very likely risk not getting back in. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit more later when we talk about the timeline. So it's really important that you use our swap function. So a swap function, now there's 2 things about dropping courses and adding courses. The swap function will allow you to do something like say, you know what, I'm in this elective course, but I'd really rather take the elective course that my roommate's in because it sounds really great and I didn't know about it, right? So maybe by the end of first week, you've heard about this other cool course. You don't really like the elective you're in as much, so you want to add that course. What I would suggest is don't drop the course you're in and then try to get into your friend's course in case it's full, right? Or in case it's reserved for students in another program. Use the swap function. Say, I want this course, and if there's a spot in it, drop me from the course I'm in now. That way you're safe. If for some reason you don't get into the other course, you've still got the 5th course, the elective that you're in, okay? If you're absolutely confident you don't want to be in the elective you're in no matter what, then you can drop it. Right? Then you know, well, if I only have 4 courses, I only have 4 courses. Now, when it comes to the swap function for courses that have 2 components, like lecture and lab or lecture and tutorial, that can get a bit complicated. And Haley can correct me if I'm wrong, but it may be that you have to call the department. I'm not sure if you can just swap 1 component of a course that has 2 components. So it could be, and Haley can maybe say this in the chat or just unmute, it may be that you have to phone the department like health studies and say, look, I'm in health studies, I have to change my tutorial time or I have to change my lab because it conflicts with my rowing practice, okay?
Students can call, or when you do a swap, you just, it will ask you for the information you want to swap into. So if you want to keep the same lab but change your tutorial, so let's say you're in lab 7 and you're happy with that lab, in the swap information, you would say lab 7, still want lab 7, and then just include the and then just put the information in that's new that you want to change.
Perfect. So you can swap even within a course. Yeah. But again, please use the swap function. Don't drop it and then try to re-add a different section. We have had heartbreak from some students because they've done this and they've lost a spot in a course that was a course that they wanted to specialize in, which means they might have to take it again the next year. Okay? Again, this will be on the test. Okay. So then I just want to say at the end of week 2, if you've had any changes you have to make, you use the swap function, please, unless you're absolutely sure you want to drop a course for good. And then you go on merrily from week 2 to the end of week 8. And you'll see that we've written drop it at the end of week 8. There's another opportunity to drop courses. And it's quite close to the end of term because our term is 12 weeks, right? So it's possible that by the end of week 8, you've realized that you are not able to do well in a course, right? Maybe you're going home on the weekends because your brother is ill. You know, maybe you've been dealing with migraine headaches all of a sudden, you know, being here, and you're just not able to perform as well as you thought, or there's a specific course that you're really not doing well in because it's you didn't have the preparation that you needed from high school. It is okay at week 8 to stop and reflect and drop that course. Right? I would argue it's better to drop it then than to continue on if you're quite confident you're going to fail it. It's not a good idea. It's better to drop it and retake it when life is more conducive to doing well. Okay? So there's no shame in dropping the course by week 8. You do not get all your tuition back. You'll only get some of it or little of it back. And it'll say DR on your transcript, but that's fine. That's a really good decision to make, to say, you know what, I'm going to stop, and at the end of week 7, the week of week 8, I'm going to look at all of my courses. I'm going to evaluate, am I keeping up with the readings? Have I been doing all the assignments and quizzes? Am I getting passing grades? If you're not sure, you can talk to the prof. If you're not sure about, you know, I got a low mark in the midterm, does that mean I'm going to fail for sure? Talk to the professor, okay? And if you have a lot going on in your life and you're not sure how to manage, talk to an academic advisor. Okay, they're very good at working through. Maybe you drop this course, but just do this course. Which course is easier? What assignments are left? They'll walk through it all for you when you're feeling overwhelmed. Okay, that's what we have advisors at Queen's for. So please pause at week 7, week 8, take stock. And if for any reason you think there's a course that you really can't pass, that's the time to drop it. Okay, and that way you preserve your transcript. You don't have failures on your transcript, which is really important. And then we have the last 4 weeks of class, and you finish off the term, okay? So next, I just want to talk briefly about transfer credits, because some of you may be coming to Queen's having taken an advanced placement or an IB course, and a number of these courses are eligible for university credit, which is great. You have only the first term to apply for transfer credit. So you have up from now until the end of December to apply to admissions, and they will evaluate those courses and give you transfer credit, okay? So it'll be really important, and I believe this is in the 101 handbook, so you'll see that this link is in the handbook, but please make sure that you go to the admissions website and apply for those transfer credits at some point, okay? Because that'll mean that rather than taking 120 units, you'll already get 6 units or 9 units or 12 units granted to you. Okay. So next, I think we have the first year, student academic success. So remember I was talking to you a bit about managing your time and you know, how to think about studying. Well, Student Academic Success Services, FAS as we call it, is there to help you with managing studying. They help you figure out how to avoid procrastination or deal with procrastination. They'll help you prepare for exams. They even run specific exam sessions in December for your mid-years, like they hold an exam session for biology and for math and for psychology, where they'll help you figure out how to handle short answer questions, how to attack multiple choice questions. They have a writing center where you can take drafts of your essay and get advice from them. So I would strongly recommend that you look at the SAS website. You can sign up either for like a group workshop. You can take advantage of the resources they have online. So they have lots of handy resources and tips and strategies that are research-based. Or you can go and see actually a peer mentor or or an expert there. If you want any help with studying, how to set up a 4-month schedule, that sort of thing, okay? Because it really is going to be a lot about time management and breaking things down into doable tasks and staying on top of them, okay? Now onto the first year handbook. As I said, there's sort of two documents that you need. Going forward across your 4 years, you're going to look at the academic calendar and probably refer to that a lot, right? To learn about the different courses you might want to take. But right now, the most important document for you is probably this first year handbook. So if you go to quartsci.com first year, you will see an electronic copy with hyperlinks throughout. All the information I think that I'm talking about today is probably in that handbook. Everything you need to know. It guides you through all the deadlines coming up in July and August and how to get information that you need. So I would strongly recommend that that be your first step during SOAR this week and next, is to go and start to explore that handbook, okay? Now I want to talk a bit about how to add value to your degree. It's not enough that you're doing a degree. It's not enough that you're doing extracurriculars and you're joining clubs. But for some students, there are other opportunities they want to take advantage of. And one of them might be an internship. And in arts and science, our internships are 12 to 16 months. They are a full year of paid work in about the low 40,000s. Most students get paid, I think, in the $40,000 range. And students typically do them between year 3 and 4. And the reason is we want students well through their degree plan. You know, right? You've been in your degree plan for 2 or 3 years. You've got a sense of sort of skills that you've gained and the sort of skills that you're going to need in your career afterwards. And it's a great time to go out and work. And you don't just have to work in the area that you're studying, right? You can look for the job. There are job boards, and you can apply for a job in any area. You can work with a variety of government agencies or with local organizations to get the sort of skills that you're going to need in the workforce. So this is a great way. You get a year between year 3 and 4 to take a break from school, earn money, you get a chance to practice the skills you've gained and to gain further skills being on the job. Then you come back and you finish your studies for a year. And the reason we think it's so important that you come back at that point is that you're going to come back to 4th year with a broader, amount of experience to bring back into the classroom for both, so that it'll aid your learning and the learning of your peers. And you're also going to be able to, upon graduation, now have an internship on your transcript, because you will be graduating with, let's say, a Bachelor of Science honors with professional internship. And internships, by the way, get you credits. So they earn you units towards your 120 units. So you don't, if you're taking that year, you are still gaining units at the same time as you're getting paid work experience. The other thing some of our students will do to add value to their degree is take a certificate. Now, you've heard me talk about a major and a minor. Well, a certificate is an even smaller credential. It's about 5 courses. They vary a little bit, but it's about 5 3-unit courses, 15 units. And you can count 2 of them as electives or as part of your degree. So when you take your honors degree, you take your 120 units. If you want to do a certificate, you probably have to take, on average, 3 courses extra. So maybe you take them in the summer, maybe you take them after you graduate. But you can get a certificate which will show that you've got specific skill in an area. Like we've got French for professionals, we've got geographic information systems, we've got employment relations, media studies. There's about 10 certificates, and half of them are fully online. So the beauty is, if you want to start in 3rd or 4th year and you want to complete them after you graduate online, if you've chosen one of the online certificates, you can do that, okay? So a certificate is a nice way to show an employer that, yeah, I've got my biology degree, but I've also got my geographic information systems, right? So I can work as an environmental consultant because I've got that skill set. By the way, things like internships and certificates, we're going to talk to you during first year at various points in the fall and at the winter about the sort of opportunities that you can add to your degree in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year, right? So I'm just sort of planting the idea now, but we will have opportunities for you to learn about all the other things you can do to add value to your degree, to make you really competitive when you graduate. Because that's another job that we have, is trying to make sure that you're set up to be able to get into the workforce right away if that's what you choose, to get a job that you enjoy, or to go on to grad school, or to participate in your community in a meaningful way. So we're going to help you with all that as you progress during the years. The other thing we wanted to tell you about is BISC 100 and 101. So what you see in front of you is another one of our Queen's campuses. Most of you are coming to the Kingston campus, and when you get to Kingston, you'll find out we have a west campus about 10 minutes west of the main campus. But we also have across the ocean in Sussex, England, the BISC, which is the Bader International Study Centre. The BISC is located in Hurstmonceau Castle, a castle that was bequeathed to us by one of our donors many decades ago. It's apparently a beautiful place. And because of COVID this past year, like everyone, the BISC had to make their courses available online. So they worked with instructional designers and with their experts in England on developing these two courses for online offering, BISC 100 and BISC 101. And because they're going to continue to offer them online to our students, you're going to be able to get a little glimpse into life at the castle. And what's interesting about these courses is they've tried really hard to bring in experiential opportunities online. So for example, you're going to get to go for virtual tours or meet experts, things that if you were at the castle, you'd get to do in person, right? Like go to London, go to the galleries, you know, go to anthropological sites or go to Shakespeare's home. So we don't get to do that if we're in Kingston, but with this course, it opens the window a little bit to see some of the sorts of opportunities that the students at the BISC are afforded. And when I was talking about sort of, you know, you have to choose courses that are pathways to degree plans. Well, BISC 100 and BISC 101 are actually prerequisite courses for a few degree plans like drama, language, literatures and culture, history, sociology. So again, look in the handbook and you'll find out that if you take 100 and 101, what sort of degree plans you will have open to you in second year. Okay, so I just thought that might be a fun extra as well this year. And then the other thing I want to tell you about is Fast Track. Fast Track is a very short course. It's really a non-course because you don't have to hand anything in. You're not going to get graded. There's no final marks. There's no tuition. It is a course that we're running starting this week for 3 weeks, and we're going to run it again in August for 3 weeks. And students can sign up for either session. And I'm going to be facilitating that course with one of our recent graduates, Matt Mellon. And together, Matt and I are going to lead you through some of the sort of skills and provide you with some of the knowledge that we think will help you in university and beyond. So we're going to talk a bit about how to establish a writing practice, how to think critically, to understand a little bit about, you know, data sampling and surveys and how to understand them. We're going to talk about inclusivity at Queen's and how to work in groups well. So if you're interested in Fast Track, in signing up for this course, feel free to do so. There's a URL down below on the screen, and it's also probably in the ASCX or the Arts and Science Handbook. And definitely you can sign up for the August session. And I'm going to just talk about opening up we've closed the July session, I was just told this morning. But if you want the July session, please email fasttrack@queensu.ca and we will add more spaces to the July session. Okay. And it's the good thing, I guess, about Fast Track is it's going to kind of give you practice with what a lot of courses at Arts and Science look like. It's going to be run through our learning management system, right? So you may have dealt with Blackboard or some learning management system in high school. Here at Queen's, we have a learning management system, Desire to Learn. So you'll go in and you'll see how the course is laid out. You'll see sort of how to submit work, because we're going to have you do work, but we're not going to look at it or grade it, as I said. So you'll learn a little bit online, then you'll come to class on Wednesdays and Friday. So it's like it's a sort of a dry run for what courses will be like in the fall. And so by doing it, if you're worried about, you know, how am I going to find out where my courses are, or how am I going to understand how the learning management system works, it's like a dry run, so you can be less, you know, be more confident when you start in the fall. So I encourage you to sign up for that if it interests you, or go learn more about it. And if you want July, as I say, email Fast Track and I'll ask Matt to open up the July session again. Okay, we're getting to the end of my presentation part. I just want to kind of walk you through what registration is going to look like between now and the end of August. So first thing we've asked you to do is read the handbook. Just take your time, enjoy, because you're going to be thinking about coming to Queen's and getting excited, and read through that handbook. Start to get a feel for the different degree plans there are. And if at any time in this process you get stuck, you have a couple of options, right? You can phone the hotline. We have advisors on that hotline. The number is there. You can always go to the Facebook group and sort of ask upper year students if you want advice on things about how to make decisions. And you can also email us, and we can help you via email. So what's going to happen is our timetable, during the next week or two, there's going to be more SOAR sessions on how to actually register for courses in our computer system. So we call it Solace, right? So we're going to show you, Haley's going to have sessions this week for students in arts and science, walking you through exactly how to use Solace, okay? And what's going to happen is you'll have an opportunity to think between now and July 23rd about what it is you want to do, look at the calendar, look at the handbook, get yourself prepared. And then on July 23rd, you will see the timetable. That's when we show you exactly what courses are being offered this fall and this winter, and what time of day, how big they are, who's going to teach them, all those sorts of details. And just a quick message, not every single course in the calendar is offered every single year. That's because faculty members get leaves. They might get a leave for research, because for parental leave or other reasons. So we don't offer 100% of our courses every year, but they are in the academic calendar. So make sure you check the timetable and look at what's available in fall 21 and in winter 22, because there may be a few upper year courses that aren't available this year because they're every other year. Okay, so you look at the timetable and you figure out, okay, I want to take sociology here, I want to take history here, I want to take biology on Wednesdays and Fridays, and you make sure that you can build a timetable that works, that's conflict free, okay? And that you've thought about any other commitments you may have, maybe Wednesday afternoons, there's something you've got to do. Then what's going to happen is that on August 3rd, you're going to be given an appointment time, right? And at that point, you're also going to be allowed to start filling your shopping cart. So up to now, you've been planning and you've been building a timetable on paper, but you haven't actually been able to go into Solace and choose your courses. You're going to be able to do that August 3rd. So at this point, you're choosing them. You're not actually registering, not finishing the process, but you're going to take those courses. Okay, I want sociology, I want biology, I want history, and you've chosen what lecture and what tutorial, because there might be 3 lecture sections, right? One is Monday, Wednesday, one's Tuesday, Friday. You've got to figure out, do you want lecture 001 or 002? Which one doesn't conflict with another course, right? So you've done all that work between July 23rd and August 3rd. Now you're ready to choose your 5 courses, put them in your shopping cart, and hit validate. And the reason you want to validate is you want the computer to do a double check. Okay, the computer's going to make sure nothing conflicts. If you've chosen 2 courses that overlap by half an hour, it's going to tell you, nope, that's not going to work. You got to go back and change one of your course times. If you choose a course for which you don't have the prerequisites, it's going to say, nope, you're not in the, you do not have the degree plan prerequisites. Okay, so it's really important to make sure that you get courses that are completely validated. If you are not sure and you're having trouble validating, again, you can call the hotline or email us. Okay, so the trick is, if everything's validated and you like your timetable, you like the courses you've chosen, they lead to the degree plans that you might be interested in taking it, you are all set. You wait to your appointment time. So the appointment time's on August 9th or 10th. It's going to be at a time of day, like 2 p.m. or 9 a.m. I'm going to suggest that if you're working or if you have commitments, try to get the time off. Try to get that time off. Try to get the morning or the afternoon of your appointment time off work, okay? Or if you have a commitment, try to see if somebody else, if you can rebook it. Because it's really important to be available at your appointment time. It's when registration starts for you. Now, it's not like a 3-hour window. It continues. You can continue to register through till August 23rd, but courses do fill up quickly. That's why it's really important to get on at your appointment time. So if your time is, August 9th at 2 p.m. and you've already hit validate, everything's cool, you hit enroll and you'll be enrolled in those courses, okay? That's why it's important to do all this preparatory work. So when you hit enroll, everything runs smoothly, okay? If it doesn't, that's when you look at the warnings you're getting, you look at why it's not enrolling. If you need to, you call us and we will walk you through troubleshooting it, okay? But do it as early as possible. You don't want to wait until August 16th and hit enroll and find out, you know what, health studies is full, psychology is full, you know, that's not good, right? It's going to limit your options. So go on right away. Now, you will have, as I said, after August 9th or 10th, you can continue to look at your schedule. And if you did want to change an elective course or something, you were able to do that. Again, do it carefully, right? Because you know that people are being added to courses, like fourth years are going on, third years are going on, second years are going on, and they're going to start to take some first year courses too, okay? So that's the sort of timeline. And I think we're ready for the pop quiz now. So I'm going to ask, oh, sorry, registration resources next. There are a number of places you can go for help. As I've said, I've mentioned the first year handbook, which is available at the QU ArtSci first year webpage. There's the hotline, the Facebook page where you can talk to upper year students, our email, asc.registration. We are, by the way, going to be here in person in the fall. We are back to working in person, but we will be remote right now, or we are working remotely right now, and we will have remote services in the fall as well. But if you are on camp, when you come to campus in September, if you want help, you'll be able to come to Dunning Hall and talk to us in person. The other thing that I think is kind of neat is during that week when registration opens for first years, August 9th, 10th, every day at noon, there's a drop-in. So you can join Zoom, drop in, ask questions, hear the questions being asked, and also get help that way. Okay, now we're ready for the pop quiz. So I have 4 items for you. I want to see what you've remembered from what I've said. So I'm going to ask Chen to put up the first question. And I'm going to ask you to vote. And I'm going to give you we'll see how many have voted in a minute of 200 of you. I hope we get at least 180. Just going to wait a little longer. Good, good, good. I see about 170 have voted so far. This is great. I'm going to wait till 45 seconds has elapsed. We're at 40 seconds now. The last few of you, take a stab at it, please. Okay. Chen, can you, or I will share the results. Can everybody see the results of that? Okay. It looks like 87% of you said mix up your studying is more effective, and that is correct. Okay, how about number 2? What's our second question? Okay, question number 2, please start voting. Oh, this is tricky. We'll give you 6 more seconds, and then we'll close it. Okay, let's share the results. Aha. So again, most of you got it right. You want to start by loading the courses in and then validate them, because if they're not in the cart, they can't be validated. And then you have to wait till August 9th to hit enroll. Great. Okay, let's go to number 3, please. There we go, number 3. Any last few voters before we close it? This is probably too picky. Okay, so let's go to the answers now. And you're right, it's August 9th or 10th. This is probably a bit too picky because, you know, you kind of start enrolling by picking your courses, putting them in your shopping cart, validating. You're starting the process then. And the process really does start when you see the timetable. So those are all good answers. Enroll is just a specific term to know that you are in. You have got the course, you're registered, you're good to go. Okay, last question, and then we'll open it up for your questions. By the way, like a lot of polls in your classes, if you want to change your mind, you can choose a different answer. Usually the last answer is the one that sticks. Okay, we're at a few more answers. Can we get a few more answers? I'm at 90%. No? Okay, let's display the results. Again, 95% of you got it. Use the swap function. It's safe, the safest thing to do if you want to make sure you replace your course. Okay, thanks very much, Chen, for running the poll. And we can just perhaps put the last slide up and then see if there's any questions. I see that we've got just a few minutes.
Jill, I see a couple of common questions in the Q&A that I think we should address. One common question we're seeing coming in is, how can students get an idea of what to expect from each major or specialization? So how do they go about choosing their major at the end of first year?
That's a great question. So the nice thing is that as you get to the end of the year, around February or March of this coming year, different departments are going to put on sessions for you where they're going to talk to you about what it's like to do their discipline. Right? So if you're interested in history will hold an advising session with the undergrad chair, maybe with some of their fourth year students, and they're going to talk to you about what it's like to do a history degree, why you might want to do it, what careers it could lead to, what the sort of skills are. They might tell you about some of the fantastic courses or opportunities. So it's really important that as we get close to the time for you to choose your plan, and that won't be till next May or so, you will have an opportunity to actually talk to the people in the departments more about what a degree is like in that department. Okay? It's really important. You can talk to fourth year students, you can talk to the undergrad chair. Yeah.
Another question we have coming in is computing a direct entry program.
Yes and no, right? You can go directly into a Bachelor of Computing Honors. You will know by now if you're in a BCMPH. But you can also do an arts and science degree and elect to go into computing in second year. And Haley, I don't know if you have any more specific information than that for them.
I think the important piece for computing students to remember is that you will not be in a computing plan unless you request it at the end of first year. So it's very, very important for computing students to participate in plan selection when we tell you to in May. You're not in computing until you go into second year officially.
Good point, because we have, yeah.
I'm seeing questions about transfer credits. Perhaps I could just point students to some information, Jill, if I may.
Sure.
I did put a web link up in the chat. So for students who have IB credits, AP credits, you can submit your application through the admissions website, I believe at any time now. You have until the end of first term to make this request. So please do it anytime between now and end of fall term. After that, it will be too late. And if you have questions about that specifically, you're welcome to contact admissions. We'll also be covering this in a slide in the arts registration session this evening at 7, as well as the science registration session on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. as well. So we can cover your questions there.
Oh, yeah, I can quickly answer fast track. Fast track's about 4 to 5 hours a week. But again, it is really up to you how much you participate. But if you want to get the most out of it, 4 to 5 hours. Fast track, we have 3 options on Wednesday. There's a 9 to 10:30, 2 to 3:30, or 7 to 8:30. You choose one of those times on Wednesday that you can attend. Friday, there's just 1 session and it changes each week. And that it's a town hall. And if you can make it, great. But if you can't, that's okay. Because we know we have students in different time zones.
Another question we have is the academic calendar different than the handbook?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the calendar is something that is more stable. It sort of tells you about all the different, it gives you all the different course descriptions, all the requirements for the degree plans, right? And it's sort of going to be your guide over the whole 4 years. The handbook is just describing how to get set up to succeed in first year, how to do registration, all the sorts of things we talked about today. What is a program? What is a plan? That sort of thing. You need to look at both.
I included the link to the academic calendar as well in the chat for students who want to take a look at course descriptions. You can find them there as well.
Yeah. Someone asked about teachers or tutorials. The basis upon which you usually choose a tutorial or a lab is usually based on the time of day. Okay, so you might have, a course might have 10 tutorials and you're going to choose the one that fits in your schedule. Not often the teachers, you don't get a choice over the teachers, no. Are certificates recognized? So a certificate from an accredited university in Ontario, Queen's is an accredited university, as are, Toronto, Western, Waterloo. Most other universities and employers will recognize degrees and credentials from a country's accredited institutions. So just like we would recognize credentials from accredited institutions in other universities. The only place where sometimes you have to do additional accreditation is sort of in professional guilds. So if you want to practice a certain, like be an electrician or be a doctor or be a psychologist, you may have to get accredited in that jurisdiction.
Just got a few minutes left. I see one question that I would like you to answer. Jill, when we select our courses, are we choosing them for just the fall term or both the fall and winter term?
Yeah, for both terms. So you're thinking through the whole year at one time. Again, just like in the fall where we said that there was two weeks to add or swap, you will again have an opportunity in January. If you have a 3-unit course in the winter, there is a window again in the first 2 weeks if you wanted to add or swap or drop. Okay, so if you're not sure about an elective in the winter, you'll be able to change your mind if there's a space in another course.
And I think we might have time for 1, maybe 2 more questions. Has a student ever been unable to enroll in a course because their appointment time is later and the course became full?
I am guessing that's possible. We do our best to ensure that first-year courses are available to first-year students. So we specifically limit how many upper-year students can get into first-year courses, right? So that you have priority for first-year courses. But beyond that, it would be possible, I suppose. But my understanding, again, Haley will know better, but if you go in right at your appointment time and hit enroll, I think you should have a very good shot because we keep trying to make our courses big enough.
That's right. It's very, very important that you register on time on your enrollment appointment date. The reason for that is because that's the specific time that those courses are reserved for your cohort. If you wait too long, if you wait until I think it's after August 13th, that's when the reserves for first year courses are removed and we open those courses up to upper year students as well. So we save your spaces for you for a short amount of time. And if you miss that window, unfortunately, then you could miss your chance to register in your preferred courses. So that's why it's important to schedule this and to plan ahead and make sure you're ready to roll in your appointment time and date.
And again, just to reiterate, there's going to be a session tonight for art students, and there's a session Wednesday night for science students. I see that there's some questions in the Q&A that we may not get to. If you're able to come to either of those sessions, or please do, and you'll have those questions answered, or you may find that they're answered in the handbook. So things like if you registered a 6-unit course, yes, it's going to show up in the fall and the winter at the exact same time. If you picked a tutorial on Wednesday mornings, you're going to have that tutorial in the afternoon. You're going to pick A and B. That's important. Yeah.
And during registration itself, we'll be offering lots and lots of help. So on August 9th and 10th, our entire staff will be available on phones, on email to answer all of your questions if anything comes up during your time.
And I'm going to answer one quick timeline one, because timeline is super important. Someone's asked, do we have to know what courses we want by August 3rd? Because that's when it's open to the public. So no, August 3rd is when you'll be able to start putting courses in your shopping cart. You have until the 9th or 10th before you're able to enroll. So, yeah, if you want to do it the 6th or 7th or 8th, put them in the shopping cart and validate, you can. I just think it's really important to start doing it early. Don't wait until your appointment time. Just start figuring out what works in your timetable, and then find out you validate and they don't work, right? You want to do that stuff ahead of time so that you're ready to go on the 9th. But you're not actually getting confirmation of enrollment till the 9th or the 10th.
If you've planned ahead and you've made those decisions ahead of time, it will make registration much smoother and easier for you.
And you can also then get time to talk to an advisor if you need to. Okay, if you need us, we're going to be available. But if you're trying to phone on your appointment time and it's taking 15, 20 minutes to get through, it's going to be frustrating.
Yeah. I believe we're at time.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening today, for doing my fun poll, and for your questions. And as I say, this is just the beginning. There'll be lots of opportunities to continue to address your questions. And we look forward to a smooth registration and to seeing you on campus in a couple months. Bye-bye.